In a small, bustling village lived a boy named Nando. Nando was known for his exceptional laziness. He would spend his days lying under the shade of a banyan tree, watching the world go by, while everyone else worked hard to keep the village thriving. His mother, Aling Maria, often scolded him. "Nando, you must learn the value of hard work. Laziness will lead you nowhere." But Nando would shrug off her words and continue with his idle ways. One day, a wise old man arrived in the village. He had heard tales of Nando's laziness and decided to teach him a lesson. Disguising himself as a merchant, he approached Nando under the banyan tree and said, "Young man, I have a task for you. If you succeed, you'll be greatly rewarded." Intrigued by the promise of a reward, Nando reluctantly agreed. The old man handed him a small wooden box and instructed, "Take this box to the top of the highest mountain. Inside, you will find the key to your fortune." Nando, motivated by the thought of a reward, began his journey. The path was steep and treacherous, testing his endurance at every step. He stumbled, slipped, and at times considered giving up. But the thought of the promised reward kept him going. After hours of arduous climbing, Nando finally reached the peak. Exhausted, he opened the box, only to find a note inside. It read, "The true reward is the journey and the effort you put into it. Hard work and determination will lead you to success." Realizing the wisdom in the old man's words, Nando felt a surge of understanding and inspiration. He descended the mountain with a new perspective on life. From that day on, Nando became one of the most diligent workers in the village. He helped his mother and contributed to the community, earning the respect and admiration of all. The wise old man had vanished, but his lesson remained etched in Nando's heart forever. Once upon a time in a small village lived a boy named Pedro. He was known as the laziest person in town, and no one could remember seeing him lift a finger to work. His days were spent lounging under a mango tree, watching others go about their daily tasks. Pedro's mother, Maria, worried for her son's future. She knew that if Pedro did not change his ways, he would amount to nothing. So one day she called him over and said, "Pedro, my son, you must learn to be diligent and hardworking. Otherwise, you will have no means to support yourself." But Pedro just shrugged and continued to laze around. Word of Pedro's laziness spread far and wide until it reached the ears of the village chief. The chief, known for his wisdom, decided to give Pedro a task as a lesson. He summoned Pedro to his house and handed him a seed. "Plant this seed, care for it, and it will grow into something valuable," he instructed. Pedro reluctantly agreed, if only to get everyone off his back. He planted the seed in his backyard and, despite himself, began to tend to it. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Pedro watered the seed, removed weeds, and protected it from pests. As he cared for the growing plant, he began to feel a sense of pride and accomplishment. Slowly but surely he was changing. One day, Pedro woke up to find a beautiful flower blossoming on his plant. He took it to the village chief, who smiled and said, "You see, Pedro, diligence and hard work yield results far more rewarding than laziness ever could." Pedro realized the lesson in the chief's words. From that day on, he worked hard and assisted others in the village. He discovered the joy of contribution and the fulfillment that hard work brings. No longer was he the lazy boy under the mango tree. He became an example of how even the laziest person could turn their life around with determination and effort.